Hello, hello, hello. It's Friday. I'm CJ. This week we are talking all about intersectionality. All about, I say, as though that's even possible. But we're talking about intersectionality, and obviously this is something that I care about a lot. This sort of stuff is my jam. So first up, I will say, Chase did a really great video talking about kind of like the academies of it. Val then did an amazing video about intersectional blob theory, which I thought explained intersectionality in a fantastic way. If you haven't, go check those videos. I'll hang on, then come back. Awesome. I guess I'm interested in, like, why does it matter? What do we do with it? The so what of intersectionality, if you like. There is an amazing writer, she's called Audre Lorde, and she says that there is no such thing as a single issue life. We don't live our lives with just one facet to our personalities. We all have our blobs. And depending on who you are and where you are and what day it is and what's going on in the world, it's going to depend on which one of those blobs comes into the fore. And I think a lot of the time as trans people, we get definitely limited to being like this one blob. Like, we are the trans blob, as though there's even one of those. And we're sort of in this process where we just kind of have to educate ourselves and other people. And that's really the so what of intersectionality. It's essentially going, I know that there are some things that are really important for me, but they're not necessarily going to be the same things that are important to other people. The most important step of, like, being intersectional living, I'm so wary of saying declarative sentences because I think of intersectionality as being a process. Because I do think that we should always be trying to be better, I guess. I guess that's probably where I'm at right now. And that's what I mean about, like, intersectionality kind of being a journey. And it's tricky because there's a lot of reading. Even if that reading is just like Twitter or I suppose Instagram to a certain bit. Tumblr I find a little bit problematic with things like that now. And I will actually say there is a downside. There is a downside to intersectionality, and that's virtue signaling. Virtue signaling is one of those where you say the words and you talk about how, you know, passionate and aware and correct you are, and deeply, like, slam down on other people. And you have to be careful with that. Sometimes I think people do need it. Sometimes I think if you have the spoons and you have the energy and you have the awareness, you should be able to turn around and go, actually, this thing that you said isn't okay. Be very aware if you're doing that and you're talking about an area of intersectionality that isn't one of your blobs. I'm just stealing Val's theories now. Thanks, Val. I'm just robbing. I'm wholesale robbing them because it's a really handy shorthand. If you're talking about something that isn't one of your blobs, be very careful about that. Be very careful about speaking on behalf of blobs that you can have no knowledge about, because you can have read all of the books but still not understand the experience. And so you have to be aware of the fact of how much are you sitting and reading and critiquing people for no reason, and is your critique actually stifling the dialogue, which isn't the same as sanctioning when somebody says something that's wrong or inappropriate. But there is a judgment call that needs to be taken there, and that can be really tricky to work out, like, when and where is appropriate and how much energy you've got to do it. And this is about being mindful and being aware of the fact that there are so many platforms that people are running and trying to make the world better. But let's not get too caught up sometimes in, like, how quickly can we bring someone down for misspeaking, for saying something. I suppose I'm begging for leniency. I suppose that's what I'm asking for. Being mindful of that is important. And being aware of the fact that other people's struggles, you know, the way that struggles exist in different countries is separate. The languages used in different countries are separate. The experiences are separate. And that's where it comes full circle back to intersectionality. And so you do have to be mindful that your virtue signaling and you being, like, super aware of stuff isn't then erasing elements of our history. Because I would like to see a lot less infighting. I would like to see a lot less pointless targeting when we've got a lot of pointed targeting to do, when the world that we live in right now. And I sometimes worry, I think, that even from looking at the facets of the trans community, that sometimes we adopt so many of the labels of the cisgendered community that would seek to have us be invisible, that all we do then is dedicate our time to fighting amongst ourselves. And so I think there has to be wisdom in how you yield the knowledge that you have. But what's the point of intersectionality, I guess, is to make us better people, to make sure that we can express and that we care and that we're present for other people and that we're open to learning. I think once you've accepted that the world is intersectional, that there are different strokes for different folks, it's then a case of how do we make it so that the world is better for everybody, not best for one group of people, and can we address the imbalances. So that's my take on intersectionality. I could actually talk about this for a million hours, and I'm slightly frustrated because I'm having a bit of an inarticulate day. So fire away questions if I explain something poorly. There's some links down below to some things to read. There's some Twitters that I follow that I find great for learning about the world and what's going on in it. And that's it. I will see you next week. Okay.